She's singing that to you, Mark. She's falling for you.
She's got a pulse.
Tell me when. Well, would 8:30 work? You know, I don't see how it hasn't worked out.
Time for another dinner with Mr. Smooth.
That's right. God.
The Breakfast Flakes podcast brought to you by the Blue Cat Bar and Grill. Next to the Roadside Event Center in Huntley. The Blue Cat. It's where it's at.
524. Mark and Paul checking in. 43 degrees outside on a very nice run of late October weather for where we live. Going to be a little cooler. 45 tomorrow, 48 on Wednesday. Overnight lows down around 30, but we've had Octobers with snow. Way worse than this. Going to be out today from 11 to 1. It's our last stop by where you can stop by and be for certain to get qualified for the Flakes trip. Ran into a friend of ours yesterday. He goes, tomorrow's the last one? I said, yeah, you've had 10 weeks.
God, we started Labor Day.
Yeah, exactly.
Jiminy.
Oh, and we leave in 84 days.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I don't, as is the case often now with both Paul and I, when we're talking about the entertainment industry and some of these people out there, we don't know who they are. But we had one here over the weekend I would not have gone to see. I don't know who Theo Vaughn is, but if you go see his show, he has a very, very strict no phone policy. So you can't talk on your phone, you can't text while he's up there, you can't take pictures, and you can't film anything. Violators will be asked to leave, no refunds will be given.
Wow.
Yeah. I bet that was sold out.
He's a comedian, I think, isn't he?
Paul, I don't know.
I think he is. I think he's a comedian. But that's not very funny.
No. It's supposed to be accommodating people who've taken some of their hard-earned money to spend on you.
Well, and the thing about it is, if he does something that's really funny and somebody recorded it and posted it,
yeah,
it's going to generate popularity.
It's good for you.
Yeah. Unless he's, selling CDs of his show or something. I don't know.
Hey, fellow old guy, I don't think he's selling CDs.
Yeah. DVDs or whatever. Hell, you can still go to Walmart. They still have the red boxes there.
Mm-hmm.
So
you were looking at taking one last drive through the park, Yellowstone Park. They're closing all the roads on, was it Thursday be your last day you can go? They're closing all the roads November 1st.
Oh, yeah.
Closed to regular vehicle traffic because we have to prepare them for winter season, snowmobile, and snow coach travel. We'll run 3 million cars a summer through there, but we're going to limit the snowmobiles.
100 a day.
Because we are the government,
right,
and we're in charge of everything. By the way, if you want to go on your snowmobile, you got to pay extra for that, too.
It's too hard on the animals. That's why we've got 5,500 buffalo down there. We got to get rid of 1,500 of them because the snowmobiles are too hard on the animals. Those people down there, the people that control those things are nuts. Mm-hmm. Nuts.
Oh, let me give you something in a related story out of the paper today. There's just so many people on the rivers in Montana. They got together and had a meeting to talk about it. Well, what are we going to do? A group of 10 Montana residents got together earlier this month to talk about things on the river like crowding, garbage, environmental impact to the state streams, and it's becoming increasingly more concerning. They talked about designating certain stretches of river specifically for different types of watercraft. Mm-hmm. For example, drift boats versus inner tubes, to closures when fishing access sites are full. Any way you look at it, it sounds like more government's in the pipe and coming down.
Oh, yeah. Once again, but we don't limit how many people go in Yellowstone Park in the summertime.
Exactly right. Well, one of the problems with the Smith River is people get out at the fishing access sites and they camp there. Mm-hmm. And 2 years ago, the legislature here in Montana passed another law that said you need a conservation license to be at one of those sites. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, you do?
Yep.
Well, yeah. And when they can raise revenue.
Make more money.
Mm-hmm. See, folks, all these people that are, for instance, on that committee that came up with this, they all went to college.
They went to college.
And they took environmental studies. Mm-hmm. And guess what their professors indoctrinated them with? All these things. That's right. Well,
I'm looking for another excerpt here for you can tell how they went to college.
And if you float the Smith River, you better have a colonoscopy the day before you go.
You pack it out.
Or you pack everything out, wouldn't you?
They're going to meet again in November to revise their set of recommendations.
Yep. Hack it out. The bears, the deer, the moose, the fish, the antelope, they all poop and it all goes in that river.
Yeah.
But it's yours that will ruin it. And people eat garbage.
Yeah, not everybody, 100% follows the rules.
You can tell hunting season started over the weekend because of the cans and stuff on the road.
Which kills me. Mm-hmm. You're in the great outdoors in our beautiful state.
Yeah. Garbage bags, Subway wrappers. 84 days, huh?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I want to find that. God dang it. The new land purchases and fishing access sites built along the Yellowstone. That comes from the oil pipeline fine money when that ruptured back in 2011 by Laurel.
They're still spending that money.
Yeah.
Yep. You had a major spill, so we're going to use your company to fund all these projects around the state that we wanted to fund. That's criminal.
It is. When you think about it, you're exactly right.
It's criminal. That's like finding somebody from Billings for littering or something, driving without a license, no insurance,
right,
and then funding a new driver's educational program up in the Flathead area.
Right. Okay, here's the line I've been looking for. There's concern about the resources of the river as hotter summers, lower water, aquatic invasive species, and fish die-offs become more common. The summers are not any hotter.
No.
The water is not any lower.
Nope. And they learned all that, guess where? In their environmental science courses at college.
God.
I saw the Weather Channel over the weekend. They showed the map, and they had like 25 cities that could be near, or setting a new record temperature. Okay? That means there were 2,500 cities around America that was not close to average or would not set a record.
Right.
But they don't put those cities on the map. Only the ones with red dots. And they were down in Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, one in Kansas. That's how they do it, folks. They brainwash you. Oh, no, look at those red dots. There's 25 of them. 25. It happens every day. Every day, every single day in America for 4 billion years. Some places have been hotter and some places have been colder. But when you're taught this is the new way of the land.
And they've got enough people indoctrinated now who are out in the media.
Absolutely.
So you hear it on TV.
They vote.
You read it in the newspaper.
All the time. Social media takes over. They're having a big meeting now, I see, on carbon storage, how to store carbon. And once again, you Democrats that are voting for these people, I don't know how you could be in agriculture and vote for them. They're going to make your life miserable and impossible. They're going to ruin your way of life. That's right, because they can take a picture of my place and they can show how I'm ruining the environment because my cows are out there. And then you can show a picture of downtown Los Angeles where you can't even see the buildings, and they know how to do it right.
Yeah.
Here's a big one in the middle for you guys in
Here's
LA.
a week's worth.
That's right. Give them a week's worth, Wilson. Here's a week's worth. I got a nice card here from the Van Currens. They won the trip here a few years ago, and congratulating me on becoming a granddad now that Maddie had her baby, so that was nice. They were trip winners a few years ago. Last year's trip winners are going again this year. If you're flying somewhere over the holidays, it's going to be busy. American Airlines is out with a new story today. They're going to be testing new technology. Get this, they're going to test technology that audibly, for those of you north of town, that means you can hear it, shames anybody who is a line cutter.
Well, that ought to eliminate it.
Can you believe this? American Airlines testing a new technology at 3 airports across the country during the boarding process that will cut down on passengers who try to jump the line. It's being tested at Albuquerque International Airport in New Mexico, Tucson Airport in Arizona, and Ronald Reagan Airport in Washington. It will alert a gate agent with an audible sound if a passenger tried to scan the ticket ahead of the assigned group. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Reagan International Airport. We have now begun to board on our flight to Los Angeles. We would ask all those with young children who have special needs to please board immediately. After that, we will be boarding everyone in Group 1. We will board Group 1 first. Welcome to American Airlines, and we hope you have a wonderful trip. Once again, anybody who needs special assistance or everybody in Group 1. Well, here comes Mr. Ass, so you know who comes up to the line, and he's in Group 3. But before he heard this announcement, ladies and gentlemen, we want to let you know that our flight to Los Angeles is a full flight. Another full flight today, which means that our overhead bin storage compartment is going to be full. We're asking any of you who could possibly check one of your overhead bags to please do so at the door so we can accommodate all of the luggage. Thank you. Once again, we are boarding Group 1. Oh, here comes Mr. A-hole again. He's in Group 3, but he's not checking his bag, Mark. He's got to make sure it goes in one of the overhead bins. So he jumps up in front. He's Group 4. He gets in Group 1 and goes through so he can put his bag in that overhead bin. Excuse me, sir. Your group has not been called. What part of bye-bye don't you understand? The ba or the bye? Bye-bye.
Get ready for a spooktacular October at the Roadside Event Center. Friday, October 11th, join them for Bingo, a fundraiser for Pack the Place in Pink. Get tickets now for Dueling Pianos on Friday and Saturday, October 18th and 19th. And plan for a Halloween weekend filled with fun. The Blue Cat has fantastic food and drinks. Sushi and sliders on Sundays, Italian night Mondays, prime rib Saturdays, and loaded Bloody Marys all weekend. The Blue Cat Bar and Grill, Northern Avenue in Huntley, just 9 miles east of the Metro Park exit.
Can you imagine this now? This is what they're going to do.
Right. Because if we learned anything during COVID, we learned that people love being told what to do by people that work at airports.
American Airlines said that a gate agent politely lets the customers know they are unable to accept that pass and asks the customer to rejoin the line when their boarding group is called. The airline said they've been pleased with the results so far. Excuse me, Mr. Important Person of the World. Your group has not been called yet. Once again, we are boarding all people in Group 1 or anyone else who needs special assistance getting on this plane. Your group has not been called yet. So take your fat ass and go back to the end of the line and wait for us to call your group. Thank you. Yes, I know. I know you're a businessman. I know you will poop on the airplane and smell up the bathroom too. Yes, I can tell by your cheap aftershave, but you have to get back at the end of thank you. In some instances where a customer may be able to board out of order, like when traveling with a companion of higher status, the agent has a quick way to override that alert and accept the pass. So in other words, if they are boarding Mark in seat 2B and you happen to be going with Mark and you're back in coach, as Mark boards, you will be able to board with Mark. That's how that's going to work. Like the a-hole that I sat next to a few years ago, who was in first class. God, I never will forget that dipwad. Folks, he was in first class right next to me in first class. I forget where we were flying from. Some little punk-ass kid, about 30 years old. And guess what? His wife and new baby, they were back in coach, while he sat in the bigger first-class seat. She came up there and holding the baby and talked to him while I was sitting there about something. Do you have this and this? Oh, yeah, here you go. And he gave her some cord or something so she could plug her. And then she goes back and sits. And that little Nimrod, Mark, I wanted to... God, it was all I could do to control myself. And then we land, and he didn't fill out any of his card. Remember, we used to have to fill out those things?
Right.
He didn't fill any of those out, and he hits me and goes, hey, you got a pen? Because he wanted a pen, because he didn't do it the whole time. He was being a dink. And I said, no, I don't have a pen. Sorry. Oh, my God, Mark.
Also, if you're flying with Paul, there's no touching.
So American Airlines is trying that out, folks.
Boy.
Well, we don't fly American.
No.
And the thing about it is, the sooner you get on the plane, unless you're in first class, the longer you have to wait in a cooped-up, crowded, disease-infected, confined area with everybody walking by you. Or get this, you're sitting there, you're by the row, and the one guy comes down, and he's flipping up all the doors to see if there's room, and he's right above you. And this BO-infected fat loser has got his shirt hanging out, got crotch crickets and everything else, armpit cooties falling out all over you, hacking and wheezing right over the top of you. If you get in first, you get all that.
That's right.
You sit there and all those people go by you. I've always said they should board the back of the plane first.
Yeah.
All the way in the back first. No, flying in America back in the 60s, I never flew then. I never flew. The first time I flew was 1978. That's the first time I ever had been on an airplane. And I flew out here. And I flew by myself. But flying on an airplane back then was an event. It was joyful. People used to dress up and wear hats. My mom, I remember her taking her hats and dresses and jewelry, and it was a social gathering, and it was an event, and not anymore.
No.
Not anymore. And we will tell all of you Flakes travelers, this year you will experience postpartum depression when you fly back home. Totally different than the mood when you fly.
It's a party on the way down.
It is. Everybody is happy.
Great
the
mood.
guy next to you can have flaming hot diarrhea, and it won't bother you one bit on the way down. But on the way back, you are operating on a razor thin attitude. You are not willing to deal with anything, but it is worth it.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, but it is worth it. Oh, the election's over. Bad Bunny has endorsed Kamala Harris for president.
Well, good for him.
Yeah, Bad Bunny. Now, the Washington Post won't, and they're the most liberal rag in America. The Post and the New York Times.
Interesting.
And they would endorse her. And you know why? Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post.
Ah, okay.
He owns the company, and he doesn't want them endorsing anybody. One of the other richest Democrats in the nation. The Democrats are the wealthiest people in America. Doesn't matter. You can pick one. Elon Musk used to be a Democrat. He's more middle-of-the-road guy now, but take people like Bezos and Gates and Soros and all these. Soros is a foreigner, but look at entertainment business, Oprah and all the rest of them, and athletics. You got LeBron and Michael Jordan and all the rest of these guys. So, but Bezos doesn't want them endorsing them because Bezos knows down the road. He knows down the road that low inflation, good business acronym around America, low inflation, people making more money, that's good for Amazon.
Yeah.
And he knows which one of them is going to give him that. Every headline from Associated Press today is anti-Trump. While you'd think this guy was Pretty Boy Floyd, the way they talk about him every day in the paper. Had a huge rally in Madison Square Garden. Packed. Had to deny people getting into Madison Square Garden. And AP's headline this morning, Trump's Madison Square Garden event features a crude and racist, full of crude and racist insults. They weren't. Kamala Harris made a stop at a barbershop over the weekend. That's a new creative idea. Everything Trump does, she'll do. She follows up. By the way, have you heard Kamala Harris talk about God or Christianity to anybody?
I didn't read the story, but she read something out of the Bible this weekend.
I know it. That's why. She has totally ignored all the Christian Christians in America. You know, she supports these anti-Semites at these universities and stuff that are harassing our Jewish students, want them all dead, that kind of thing. She wants their votes. So she has to kind of stay back from that. I told you the story last Friday about her husband and what a schmuck he is. But Russ Riesinger and Color 8 and all the rest of them, they haven't done stories on Doug Emhoff and him slapping. But yet they'll do story from a park ranger that they heard. He said he believes that Tim Sheehy shot himself in the arm. They'll run that one.
Yeah.
But what about all the other ones that tells you things about Kamala and all these other? No, we're not going to run those. Tara Reid. Did they do a story about Tara Reid? Tara Reid said she was sexually assaulted by Joe Biden. But they didn't do that story, did they?
That one went away fast.
Oh, yeah, because it doesn't fill their narrative. So that's what AP's up to. So we have to weed our way through this every day and get through it like the rest of you. Got 8 days. Polls at Metro Park open at 7 next Tuesday. They're open till 8 o'clock at night. They're not open till 9:30. They're open till 8. 7 to 8. A lot of people turning their ballots in early, which is good. Vote early. Israel attacked Iran over the weekend, took out some missile sites. People underestimate how advanced and how well trained Israel's military is.
Apparently.
It's unbelievable. There's some of this. In fact, you know, the U.S., we have borrowed some of their technology. Very smart, pinpoint accuracy. Took out their missile silos and their missile protectors, first of all. Missile defense sites. Didn't take any oil refineries yet. Didn't take out their nuclear facilities yet. Now, of course, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are condemning Israel's attack on a nation that has been funding the death of all Jews in Israel for years. The ones behind the attack on their people. And then just, you may recall, a few short weeks ago, indiscriminately fired thousands of missiles into Tel Aviv to try to kill as many of their Jewish population as they could. And Kamala Harris and Joe Biden are condemning Israel for going back into Iran and sending a message to them. This is the kind of whack job, screwed up people you have in the White House. Well, they're not in the White House. Here's the thing that I like that we learned from this attack. We learned, and I watched some general talking about it. We learned that the American-made F-35 is performing better than we ever thought.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. It can avoid these missile defense systems, all these things that they're shooting at them. The F-35 knows how to work its way around it, and it's proven to be a real workhorse. That Russian crap that they got doesn't work against our F-35s, which is good. We never had those problems in the last administration, but Color 8 and KTVQ and the rest of them, they won't cover that. The 5-country alliance, Middle East peace accord that we had with former President Trump, been eviscerated. It's a wreck over there. Here's another story. The trajectory of Ukraine's fight against Russia, that hangs on the outcome of the election right now. Listen to how they're saying that. Why, this war won't continue if President Trump gets in. That's what they're saying. The military complex in Washington, all the Democrats that are lobbyists for these high-tech military hardware facilities, the Democrats' hatred of Putin and Russia, all of that could come to an end if President Trump's elected. Listen to how they're saying that, Mark. In the meantime, they're poking the bear in the Middle East. You gotta surrender Israel. You have to stop. But yet, they want this Ukraine fight to continue, and all that hangs on the outcome of the U.S. election. It could stop. As former President Trump and Harris advocate very different views on support for the Ukraine. Yes, they do. President Trump doesn't get us into wars. He gets us out of them.
That's right.
Get ready for a spooktacular October at the Roadside Event Center. Friday, October 11th, join them for Bingo, a fundraiser for Pack the Place in Pink. Get tickets now for Dueling Pianos on Friday and Saturday, October 18th and 19th. And plan for a Halloween weekend filled with fun. The Blue Cat has fantastic food and drinks. Sushi and sliders on Sundays, Italian night Mondays, prime rib Saturdays, and loaded Bloody Marys all weekend. The Blue Cat Bar and Grill, Northern Avenue in Huntley. Just $9 9 miles east of the Metro Park exit.
Harris would likely continue Joe Biden's policies, according to this article, on Russia to stop Vladimir Putin's brutality. Well, President Trump's going to stop it too.
Yeah.
But he's going to do it with something different than war. So far, you folks have spent over $60 billion in the Ukraine, and billions more are pledged of your tax dollars. Lloyd Austin just announced another $800 million prior to the weekend. $8 billion of your money is expected to flow in there by the end of the year. $8 billion more. Trump has repeatedly taken issue with U.S. aid to Ukraine, and he's made vows to end the war, and he has praised Putin. He's not praising Putin. He's trying to deal with him. He said, I know him very well. We had a good relationship when he was in the White House. He understood his place in the world, and Trump put him there. That's what he's saying, you a-holes. That's what he's saying. I prefer the peaceful method of tightening the rope around their economic neck and using that to stop the war rather than blood and billions of all of our dollars that we don't have. We're broke. We're broke. We're broke. Every American right now is worried about our credit score and everything else that's going up with their lives. The U.S. doesn't have to worry about a credit score, and we're $34 trillion in debt. Who'd loan them money? The government. So 8 days, folks. You have 8 days to make up your mind. Democrats are threatening democracy. Remember, that was a big story. Now, they have vowed not to let the election results, if Trump wins, be verified. We're a threat to democracy. Whether any way they have to do it, pitchforks and rakes and torches, any way they have to do it. Their quest for complete and ultimate Marxist socialist power over you and the country forever is coming up. You all can be proud members of that party. I'm not. You can be. It's a free country. You show up with a pitchfork and a rake and a torch and try to stop it if you want. Just stay away from me. Well, McDonald's came out over the weekend and said all of their testing ruled out the beef patties as a source to their outbreak of E. coli. So they will resume selling quarter pounders at all of the infected restaurants this week.
Those should be big sellers.
U.S. Food and Drug continues to believe that the slivered onions from the supplier in the Salinas Valley of California, where Billings Construction Supply has no porta potties set up there in the fields of onions, that's where it came from. 75 people got sick, 13 states. They ruled out the beef patties. They stopped selling them at 900 of the restaurants, and they stopped selling them at the airport hubs. Very good call. Very good call there. Testing by the Colorado Department of Agriculture ruled out the patties as a source of the outbreak. They received multiple lots of the frozen beef patties collected from various locations, all negative. Colorado had the most illnesses. Montana had 13 in Montana. Some people who got sick reported traveling to other states before their symptoms started. So they ruled out the patties. Does anybody ever eat a quarter pounder without cheese?
It's rare, but
It really is. I mean, if you're going to go that far,
right,
have the cheese.
Right. You put a damn tomato on there every time, and I didn't ask for that.
I mean, if you're going for the home run, you might as well be naked. I mean, so, and if you want to do it because it's cheaper, then you shouldn't be eating there to start with.
Nobody thinks like that,
I
Paul.
know they don't,
No.
and it's a shame. Well, I can save 70 cents if I go without the cheese on the quarter pounder, but I'll make it a meal and biggie size it.
Yeah.
But I'm saving on the cheese. There are people out there who don't like cheese.
Right.
Probably very few. If you had to look at the percentage of people in America that dislike cheese, I would say less than 5% probably.
I'd agree with that.
Probably less than 5. There's got to be at least one type of cheese. Now, for those of you north of town, we know what kind of cheese you like. You like cutting it. But the rest of us, mozzarella, cheddar, American, Swiss, you name it, most of Americans like cheese. Is there any of you, when you go to the Olive Garden and the guy comes with a fresh mozzarella that says, oh, hell no. No more of that. No more of that on my all-you-can-eat pasta meal that I just bought. No more of that. Say when. The guy is down to shaving steel. So Americans like cheese.
Plus, if you ever go there with me and the gal with the cheese is female, you get my great line. Say when? About 8:30.
There you go. Folks, you get a lot of this kind of stuff on the trip. They always tell people when they take your picture to say cheese. I don't understand why. Doesn't move my mouth into a smile position, but say cheese. Cheese. All right? But I would imagine it's less than that.
Maryland does not like McDonald's cheese.
Well, now that's true. Some cheese is not like regular cheese.
No.
It's a different cheese.
When I go to Subway, I don't like their cheddar because it's that shaved, and I want...
And for Mark, everything is about the shape and the style.
No, I would prefer a deli sandwich with
Slices.
slices of sharp cheddar.
Right.
Better flavor, more consistent.
How do you like your pickles, Mark? Which way do you like them sliced? Across, or do you like lengthwise? Oh, no, he doesn't like the shape.
Well, they come sliced across.
Yeah, okay. Got it. Got it. So they got that cleaned up. Something else to worry about, folks? I'm just going to tell you. But got the time change coming up this coming weekend again. So
It apparently used to be this weekend we just went through because one of my clocks in my living room changed itself.
It was always the first weekend of April or the last weekend of October.
Okay.
And then they moved it. And you know why? I don't either. They just decided.
Right.
That sat up on the roof and I looked at the sun and I thought, that's just not right. We have to do this for 2 additional weeks. So they do it. Some places don't change. Some places don't change. Some do. But that's going to be this weekend. In fact, it'll be the night of the trip party. Mm-hmm. So if you're continue to celebrate, party hardy, you'll get an extra hours of sleep at least on Sunday morning. And once again, I wish they would do it on a Friday night instead of a Saturday night, because then it would give you a night to recover and adjust your body clock rather than the first full day of the time difference being the day and the night before you have to go to work. But, and for those of you that are retired out there, doesn't matter.
Nope.
Doesn't change your life one way or the other. But everybody else, But then if you're on a schedule like Mark and I, you sit there and 3 o'clock in the morning, you sit there and you wake up and your eyes are wide open, and 2:30 in the morning, and you've got another hour yet now because your body hasn't adjusted to it. And but anyway, that's coming up this weekend. Oh boy. So they had something on that. In fact, there was an article in the paper today, too. I haven't read this yet, but woman in the paper today devastated when she found out that they're handing out medication and prescribed medications at school, giving them to these kids. And parents had no idea that they're giving their kids medication.
No.
And I can understand. Once again, folks, a lot of this comes down to your vote. Well, what do you mean? Comes down to your vote. Look what the Montana Supreme Court just did. They just ruled that if your son or daughter, that's right, son or daughter, because in the ruling, the judge said his or hers medical treatment don't necessarily have to inform the parents about it. They just ruled that. That's what they did in Minnesota. That's what Tim Waltz did over there. So if your kid's 8 years old, wants to go through gender transformation, or your 12-year-old girl, 13-year-old girl got pregnant, going to an abortion clinic to have a major procedure done on her, they don't have to tell you. They don't know about your child's medical history or anything like that you know. And then you go home and your child's in the room, they're reserved, they're isolated, they're depressed. You have no reason why. You can't understand why. Well, you don't know about these medical procedures that they've undergone. Oh, yeah. That's why it's so important, folks, when you vote, to put the right people there. Not only affects you, it affects your children. Not to mention their future, but 8 days. We got 8 days left, and then all hell's going to break loose. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad we live where we live. And we're not immune from it, but we're better off than the rest of the place. And it's a bad time time anyway to try to start something in Montana because it's hunting season now.
A lot of guns driving around out there.
Do not. It is a bad time of year to try to pull anything in this. Whether you're running from the cops or heck, it's just bad time of year. I could tell by the nut jobs all at the shooting range over the weekend, putting up human silhouettes. It's just great. And then turning around and pulling a pistol out of your belt and giving them a clip. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a bad time to pull something in our state, folks. I wouldn't do it through like November, December.
Right.
Bad timing. Jeez.
Okay, we'll get rolling. First news coming up, 6:14.
The Breakfast Flakes podcast brought to you by the Blue Cat Bar and Grill. Next to the Roadside Event Center in Huntley. The Blue Cat. It's where it's at.